Hello, everybody, and welcome to the post-game show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. The Eagles escape 22-16 with a very ugly win over the Carolina Panthers. We will talk about it all. Let's start with Jamie Lynch. How are you feeling?
I don't think I've let out that sigh of relief yet. This felt, Bo, last year when we were doing the games, it was very much all right, they're winning, it's ugly, but a win's a win. I can't complain about it. Now that the Eagles are good again.
This felt like a last year win.
Yeah, now that the Eagles are good again, I feel like I can complain about a win again. We've had a grace period.
It felt like the Browns win a little bit like that. And boy, do we have a lot to get to.
Yeah.
We're going to hear from Nick Sirianni. We're going to hear from Zach Berman live from the LINC. We want to hear what you guys think in the comments. Let us know. But man, Saquon Barkley sets the franchise record for most rushing yards in the season. That's good.
It's going to be hard to play
Not much else good. You know, he went 20 for 124, but Fran Duffy, I think the thing that I am going to be thinking about all week is Nick Sirianni's decision at the end of that game. The Eagles are up 22-16. They have 4th and 8 at the 36-yard line with 3:05 left and all 3 timeouts. And Jake Elliott in this game had already missed a 52-yard field goal. If you kick a field goal here, it's a 53-yarder. Jake Elliott 0 for 5 on the season in 50-plus yard field goals. Had also missed an extra point in this game that didn't end up counting because there was a penalty on the Panthers. But Nick Sirianni's decision to try to draw them off sides and then punt not only is, cowardly from a what Jeffrey Lurie wants to do standpoint, but is an absolute admission that he doesn't trust Jake Elliott right now.
Yep.
And the Panthers then drive down the field and almost basically score the game-winning touchdown with Xavier Legette. So what did you make of Nick Sirianni's decision to do those two things there?
Ironic to juxtapose that after Thursday night, what we all saw with Dan Campbell going for it with multiple fourth down attempts, just a few days ago. But I think ultimately, you teed it up perfectly. The fact that it's clearly a vote of no confidence in Jake Elliott with where he's at right now, obviously long term.
No matter what Nick Sirianni says in his post-game press conference, it doesn't matter. Like that, that was show me what you really think there.
No question. It's actions speak louder than words in that scenario. And look, this comes on a drive where Jalen Hurts takes a terrible sack on first down, which we'll get into Jalen Hurts here in this game as well. But that end of game sequence there from Nick Sirianni, from the staff, it tells a lot.
And to your earlier point, Jamie, we have talked about like this team seems to be playing with more joy over the past couple months. Like they have really been enjoying themselves. This was a bad vibes game.
Yeah.
For several reasons. For that Nick Sirianni decision. A.J. Brown in this game doesn't get a target until the 4th or 5th offensive drive late in the second quarter. And having been there watching the game live in the first half, he was upset. Like he was angry. Even after they scored that touchdown at the end of the half, he's like, this is how easy it is if you just give me the ball, and it's hard to blame him. He finishes with just 4 catches for 43 yards. DeVonta Smith, 4 for 37. Jalen Hurts in this game, 14 of 21 for 108 yards and 2 touchdowns, adding a very impressive a couple scrambles, 8 for 59 on the ground. But as a passer, I thought this was my instant reaction was Jalen Hurts' worst game of the season.
Can I go through some numbers just that I was going through from Next Gen Stats? 4 sacks on 9 pressures in this game, which is really, really bad. And the average time to pressure was 3.29 seconds. That was the slowest of any game for Jalen Hurts this season. And then when you look at some of the other, 3.47 seconds average time to throw, slowest of the season for him. So, just the ball not coming out consistently here against what had been a porous Carolina Panthers defense. 5.1 yards per attempt, lowest of the season. 5.6 air yards per attempt, lowest of the season for Jalen Hurts. There's a poor game.
Several times throughout this game where he he didn't trust what the call was. Basically, he's at the top of his drop. Whatever it is, the play call is there to be thrown, and he just eats it and invites that pressure. And then you even saw that I believe it was in the third or fourth quarter. I think it was the fourth quarter. That RPO, which last week we saw him throw it away on purpose. You get the penalty instead of taking a loss on first down. In this game, he slides, takes a 9-yard loss, when even if it's an RPO that has gone wrong and you're taking an illegal downfield penalty, it's at 2nd and 15. So throw it away. Or 1st and 15, rather.
Yeah.
You would get an extra down. What are we doing?
Yeah. It was an RPO where they called a slant route to A.J. Brown on the RPO, and the safety steps in front of the slant. So I see why Jalen didn't throw it. But that's probably like the 10th or 11th.
Fine.
Well, also, that was like the 10th, at least 10th or 12th slant route we saw from A.J. Brown over the course of the afternoon.
That's all they did.
It was slant routes and curl routes. That's what this drop back pass game is right now. It was a lot of play action, a lot of, they diversify their things that way. But in terms of like their basic drop back pass game, it is very simple. It is very stripped down. Jamie, you asked me during the watch along, well, why do I think this is the case right now with the Eagles offense? I couldn't say with certainty, but they are making a conscious decision to really streamline what they're doing from a pass game standpoint conceptually right now.
Yeah, when you got Mark Sanchez ripping you for not getting rid of the ball quick enough, something's probably wrong.
Well, the things that you're talking about, Fran, of like stripping down the passing game and trying to make things as easy as possible for the quarterback. I mean, you got Bryce Young on the other side, who is the struggling number 1 overall pick. That sounds like the kind of thing they would be doing for him. And by the way, I thought Bryce Young was very good today.
Yeah, he was pretty impressive today. Made some back-breaking third down plays, kept plays alive even on that last drive, a couple fourth down plays. He looked like the cooler, calmer, collected quarterback of the two today.
Yeah, I mean, the offense right now, or I should say today, like, felt tight. You could tell like the bad vibe. Yeah. It definitely did not. It was not hitting on all cylinders here today. I mean, it's been a few weeks now since we've seen this pass game really look like the unit that we would come to expect, certainly coming into the season.
All right, let us know in the chat both what you think of Jalen Hurts' game and specifically Nick Sirianni's decision to punt there. And I do think we talked about it over the course of the week. His flip the field decision against the Ravens last week, where they were able to pin them down at the 1-yard line, and then they forced a punt and then go on to score a touchdown. Felt like the kind of thing where he was going to learn the wrong lesson and maybe lean on that again, which is exactly what happened here. And it's a perfect example of why that's not the right decision, because they did exactly what they wanted. Avonte Maddox makes a great play, stepping in as the gunner for Sidney Brown, downs it at the 1.
Great play, yep.
And they still basically give up the game-winning touchdown pass to Xavier Leggett.
It goes right through Leggett's hands, and the ball falls incomplete. Otherwise, that's a touchdown with under 20 seconds.
40 seconds.
Yeah, under,
40,
something like that remaining.
It was still possible because they had 3 timeouts.
Yeah, would have been a disaster.
I will say I didn't like it when it happened live. It has grown on me a little bit more.
The punt?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, like you said, Jake Elliott's kind of dead to them, right? Like, they don't trust him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's missing point afters. And then
go for it.
4th and 8. And
why not?
Because the way we've been talking about Jalen for the past 10 minutes.
Well, that's fair.
So I think, like, if I'm Sirianni on the sideline real quick.
Which side of the ball do you trust more?
I trust my best unit right now being the defense. Jalen had his struggles today. We just talked about it for 5 minutes. Jake Elliott was a non-option for them, clearly. So your best unit is the defense. Do you put Bryce Young up against a 97-yard? It's grown on me more than it did in the moment. I will say that. Now, I do think there's a little bit of cowardice to it. And if you're playing a good opponent, like a playoff opponent, you probably want to go for that there.
Yeah, I had it teed up on the 4th down bot. It was a recommendation plus 1.4 win probability to kick the field goal. And it's basically you're at like 95%. If you make the field goal, you go up to like 99%. But if you miss it, it goes down to 90. If you go for it, if you miss going for it, then it's 91%.
And that's the other thing. If
like
you miss it, then you're leaving them with the same field position.
But you still got 3 timeouts. They've got no timeouts.
I just trust the defense more than any unit on this team right now outside.
And we'll get to the defense, but this was not the defense's best game.
No, Darius Slay got cooked today.
Yeah. So
and I'm not a guy that's like harping on Slay every week. I think he's had a really good season, but he got picked on a little bit today.
Now, listen, you're allowed to have bad games.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right? It's a 17-game season. I think it does remind me a lot of that Browns game where like they did not play their best. Nick Sirianni should not be shouting at people, puffing his chest out about this victory. But that doesn't mean that this is a bad team, right? They still got the win. And after that win, they then started playing much better. And are now in the middle of a 9-game winning streak. So I think there are concerns if you're thinking about this team as a Super Bowl contender, which is what they are. But it's nice that they can play their D+ game and still win by 6 points.
Yeah, I mean that would be the optimistic way to look at it for sure. Because I think again, it's not even just like the offense didn't play well. To your point earlier, the defense did not have its A game here in this football game. Certainly against the run, they allowed the Carolina Panthers to stay on schedule offensively far too often, where it's third and medium, second and short, and they're able to just stay balanced, run game, pass game, and just kind of dink and dunk their way down the football field. I mean, a couple of those drives in the second half, that final one, notwithstanding, they were 12 plays, 15 plays, and they would have one play of double-digit yardage. Everything else was 6 yards, 7 yards, 8 yards, 4 yards, and they were able to matriculate the ball down the field. And I think at the end of the day, this defense just did not have its A+ game, but certainly it was the offense that let them down.
You nailed it in the pregame show. You talked about the edges in the rush game, and that's kind of where they got had today, and they set themselves up for a lot of favorable second and third downs today. And it wasn't their best day, but
yeah, the run game was interesting. Chuba Hubbard goes 26 carries for 92 yards. That's only 3.5 yards per carry.
Yep.
But it didn't feel like it felt like they were getting enough.
Yeah.
Right.
It felt like a lot of 6-yard first downs,
which is what they need. I mean, that's what they needed, and that allowed Bryce Young, where it's all right. It's not 3rd and 9 every single time he dropped back, and he was able to take advantage of those situations.
Bryce Young finishes 19 of 34 for 191 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, a 69.6 quarterback rating. Adam Thielen pacing them with 9 carries for 102 yards. I believe the broadcast said he had 5 conversions on 3rd and 4th down, so he was the guy that Bryce Young was looking to in those big situations.
Yeah, it happened. It was some inside against Cooper DeJean, some on the outside against the guys on the perimeter. We only heard Quinion's number.
I was just gonna say we didn't hear my boy's name. I haven't seen the stats yet.
They're not throwing at your boy.
Yeah, no, not at all.
No, I think it's clear teams avoid him. I mean, young and athletic versus Darius Slay. Not to throw strays at Slay there, but
Slay coming off injury too.
Yeah, who are you going to pick to go up against?
Now, CJ Gardner-Johnson, a very interesting day for him, a very eventful day for him. That first drive of the game, he lays that monster hit.
Outstanding play.
Xavier
Sheldon
Leggett.
Brown was in the house today.
Sheldon was in the house for that.
Yeah,
that was fantastic, and such a clean hit and clean and violent, which is what you like to see. He leaves the game twice to be evaluated for a concussion, but comes back both times. Also makes the interception on the overthrow from Bryce Young. And in this game where the Eagles did not have Reed Blankenship alongside him, Tristan McCollum playing next to him, if they had lost CJ Gardner-Johnson, all of a sudden then you're looking at Avonte Maddox as the other safety. And so it was potentially getting dire there.
Yeah, and so you saw Maddox was able to come in there for a handful of snaps to play safety. I think at the end of the day, look, this is a team where you're coming in, you're without Sidney Brown, you're without Reed Blankenship. You couldn't afford to have too many injuries there, and CJ left on 2 separate occasions. We'll see what the last injury looks like here long term.
And now Julia has done the great work here to put up the poll. Was punting the ball the right call by Nick Sirianni? And so it's early. Wow. It's early days here. But I'm seeing close to 80% of you saying yes. And to those of you, I expected more. I thought we had smarter fans than this. That's
it has
bad.
Grown on me.
Everyone's on Jamie's side on this one.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
In the moment, it felt like a loser move.
Here's the thing. But if you go for the field goal and don't get it, or if you go for it and don't get it, you're still trusting the defense.
Yes.
The notion of let's put the ball in the defense's hands. That's the thing that you have as your backup if you don't just go win the game.
It's why Dan Campbell goes for it on 4th and 1 from his own 30. And that's.
But does he go for it on 4th and 8?
Look, we can get into whether or not
the numbers are pushing. The numbers are pushing a little bit toward.
I don't think
more
he does,
towards the nose. Let's get the smart people to continue voting.
Well,
because this was dumb.
Here's why I
pre-polling. We know you can't trust that.
Hindsight being 2020.
Yeah. These are early returns.
They made a spectacular play. If that goes into the end zone and they get the ball at the 20, then I'm looking at an 18-yard difference and I go, well, that was dumb. I'm only liking it because I know that Avonte Maddox went down there and made the play.
Yeah, and
so it is with the benefit of hindsight.
Then took an unbelievable play by Bryce Young to convert that.
Sure,
that
Josh
third and
Sweat,
long.
Man, get that sack.
What a hell of a play that was by Bryce.
That
Young.
was a really nice play.
Yeah. What did you see, Fran, on the fast forward that to the Leggett drop that could have been the game winning touchdown? What do you think happened there?
Yeah, I mean, it was they were playing some form of zone coverage. It looked like it was cover 3, and he ran a skinny post. So he was able to get up the seam. You're over top of the underneath defender. The safety got pulled over to the other side by whatever that route concept was. And so he was wide open, and Bryce Young put it on him. It should have been a touchdown. It was a great ball from Young. It just goes right through Leggett's hands. And this is something that we've seen with Xavier Legette going back to South Carolina, capable of the big play, but will frustrate you at times.
I can't wait to hear his cuts from the locker room because I love listening to this guy talk.
Yeah.
He's the swamp monster.
Yeah.
It's the most southern accent I've ever heard.
It's a very good accent.
And he's going to have some awesome statement about that drop catch.
What's on your Mount Rushmore of accents?
Ooh.
Zach was signing a book for a sicko from Scotland today. I love the Scottish. Yeah,
that's a good one. I love an Aussie.
He's like, I don't know what this guy looks like. I said, just look for the guy in the kilt. Very easy.
New Jersey. Love that one.
That's a good one.
Northeast Philly. Can't go wrong there.
Yeah.
All right, let's run through some of the super chats that we have from reactions. Santiago says the Eagles need a real QB, and Diva AJ is coming back. Now, I don't know about the real QB nonsense, but listen, I think the Eagles absolutely have something of a wide receiver problem with AJ Brown and DeVonta Smith right now, because it's one thing if the offense is rolling and they're not getting the ball.
Yep.
But just think about it from AJ Brown's perspective, man. Like, he's the best player on the team. Saquon Barkley is awesome. Jalen Carter is awesome. Lane Johnson is awesome. Like, those guys are fantastic. That you could argue that they're the best players. AJ Brown is the best player on the team. And when you are like the best player and the best athlete on the team, and you know that you getting the ball correlates with winning, you want the ball. And like, I don't blame him for that. He gets only 4 targets in this game on 21 pass attempts plus probably 4 or 5 more dropbacks. Like, that's not good enough. He needs the ball more, and he should be upset about that.
You said from the game there was a drive in the first half where he was visibly upset on the sideline. Right? That drive was second down. There was a double slant call for Jalen Hurts where I forget who was running the inside slant, but AJ Brown is running the slant on the outside. That play is designed to go to AJ Brown. That is the first slant is supposed to open up the window, and it was there for Jalen Hurts, and Jalen did not throw. As they were showing replays, I was interested to see was there a rusher in Jalen's face that prevented him from throwing it. It didn't seem like watching the replay live that there was. That ball should have been thrown to AJ Brown. So all right, I get why AJ was frustrated there.
And then the next play,
third down. I didn't see the replay.
And AJ's running. It's like a fly. He's running down the field, and he's not wide open. But if there's nothing else, this is the one where Jalen scrambles around and then tries to throw it to Johnny Wilson, and it's a little bit out of Johnny Wilson's hands over the middle. Like, throw that up to AJ Brown. It's 1-on-1. He's probably going to make.
Doesn't he have like the highest contested catch rate in the NFL?
And that's when that's when he comes over to the sideline and he's mad. He slams his helmet down on the bench. Like, I don't blame him.
So did Jalen go into his meditative state where he just sat there with his jacket on staring, or did he actually engage with his teammates?
There was a shot on the sideline where he was that way. Now, I don't know if he was that way the whole time, but that was what the camera saw for 3 seconds.
He just goes into like this like blackout phase where he just stares ahead.
And it's hard to square like the offense we saw for most of this game with the offense we saw on that final drive of the first half, when they just easily go down the field by throwing it to AJ Brown, and the touchdown to DeVonta Smith, and Saquon is mixed in too, and it looks easy. And like, I know it's hard to say that's what the offense should always look like, but that's what the offense should look like a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Against, by the way, a defense that came into this game 31st in DVOA.
Yeah, Saquon ran for 6.2 yards a carry today. 20 carries for 124 yards. They didn't lean on the run game well enough. I mean, there's just these pass game numbers are bad, man. I mean, and it wasn't just like the pure dropback stuff. Like, there was sloppy play on the RPOs. So you saw that it was a Jalen Hurts keeper on one of the opening drive. I think it was the first 3 and out where he ended up keeping it.
He doesn't follow it the right way.
Well, no, it was the play before that. Yeah, it was the play before that.
He probably could have got the first down.
Yeah, he slides, but he's looking at, I think it might have been Johnny Wilson that busted the play, but somebody on the perimeter did not run the right route. It might have been DeVonta, actually. Yeah, it was somebody down there. It didn't run the right route. And so, I mean, it was just sloppy across the board here in this game.
And it's interesting. I think a lifetime of being an Eagles fan prepared Eagles fans that this might be a letdown game. Like, on my way into the game, I'm hearing like multiple conversations like, this is a trap game, man. Like, you're coming off the Ravens win.
I'm walking outside of my house this morning, leaving here for work, and there's an old man on my sidewalk walking his dog, and he sees me in my hoodie, and he goes, "Oh, you're all ready for the game today, huh?" And I go, "Yeah, today should be easy." He goes, oh, those are the games that always scare me the most. And I was like,
yes,
damn you,
like
man,
a true
you're right.
Philadelphian. Like, absolutely. That's
So,
this
yes,
game and trap game
he
right
had
all over.
7+ decades of Eagles preparation for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what it felt like. So
It did feel like a last year win, which
it
is
felt
fine.
very much like a last year win.
Yeah.
It's better than a last year loss, but
Yeah,
it's still not ideal.
Yeah, it feels very much like week 5 to me, or
Yeah.
week 6 because they had the bye in week 5. But that Browns game. More super chats. Shay says, when Nick said Jalen being a game manager was BS, was it a subtle jab at Jalen's lack of awareness of game situations?
No, I don't think that he was thinking in that way.
Is this the bean toucher, Shay?
This is Bean Man.
Yeah.
Oh,
nice,
bean,
Bean
no
Man.
bean update. We need some bean updates there.
Yeah. Please update us on the bean talk.
Beano Cook.
I don't think that was that was subtle on Sirianni's part. I think that's
No, I think that is very
him
much
trying to
Nick.
attack narrative. Yeah,
It's Nick wanting to make sure that he's publicly
everyone knows that he doesn't
gassing
think
up
he's
his
good.
quarterback.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Harksaw Cameron with a super chat says, here is the thing on the punt. This is the one time where I am okay with throwing out the analytics. Nick knew what he had with Jake and Jalen today and made a good call.
That's kind of where I'm at.
I understand that perspective because in this game, Jalen was not super trustworthy and you're a little bit worried that, Jake has the yips. But this is the whole point of, the Coach Flynnism. You can't date the analytics. You got to marry them. Like over the course of time, if you make the right decision enough, it's going to come out in your favor. And to start bringing in all of these just subjective things that Nick Sirianni thinks about the game is exactly how you get in trouble and make the wrong decisions in the long run.
So for the record, are you kicking or are you going for it?
I'm kicking a field goal.
Because you are asking, you said Jalen had 105 yards on the day?
100, yeah, I think.
Yeah.
And you need 8 yards
108,
there if you do go for it.
yeah.
You're asking Jalen to get 7% of his
Yeah,
daily,
yeah.
Yards tossed that day in one play.
And you know what else though? Like the lining up to then try to draw
the
him off
offside,
sides
yeah,
to
right.
steal 5 yards
That's
to what?
Harry
Then
High
maybe
School
you go for it on
BS.
4th and 3. Like that's so pathetic.
Yeah, that was
I
bad
am
luck.
so tired of that nonsense. And you're exactly right to draw the comparison to Dan Campbell,
Yeah.
Fran, because that was everybody's like, oh, he must be just trying to draw him off sides here. No, he's gonna line up and go win the goddamn game.
Right.
Like, no, we're gonna maybe see if we can get to 4th and 3, and then probably still punt it. Like, I don't know, maybe we'll try to draw him off again. If we get him twice, then that's a first down. Like,
I would be
give
fascinated.
me a break. This team is like they're one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah. They
like
should line up and beat
pound
you.
your chest
Yep.
and go win the game.
Yep, I'm with you.
But 8 yards there. Jalen was kind of crap today.
Pathetic.
Like the more and more, I think it was the right decision. I mean, obviously.
But also think about like what's the downside of going to Elliott there? The downside is he misses the kick, and everyone's like, okay, Jake Elliott has lost it. Well, guess what? By doing this,
You've already admitted
it's
it.
even worse
Yep.
because now the coach is telling you that he has lost faith in the kicker. And if you kick it and he makes it, what an awesome story for Jake Elliott. I still trust my guy. He went out and won the game. That's my guy.
Yeah, that's the
Like-
biggest storyline. Like the thing I'm going to wake up tomorrow, I'm going to go, the Eagles don't have a kicker. Like they don't trust him.
But if it's a trust thing, you solve it just by kicking it this one time.
But if he misses it, he's cooked.
But if he misses it, it's
Right now
not
he's
even
cooked.
as bad as it is right now.
You're still
He's
worried that he's
doubly cooked.
Right.
Like they don't. I don't know what they do about this. They need something's in the air with kickers this year. Justin Tucker and Jake Elliott were the two most reliable kickers in the NFL, and they both stink this year. Like I'm almost apt to go get the Temple kid and just like give him some NIL money to come up.
Now you're winning Fran over. He's ready to go. Yeah, all right. Whose laptop's moving now? The other super chats. Claude Debussy says, curious what McKee could do with this offense. I'm with you. And this team might be undefeated if that were the case. McLeod says, is Jalen Hurts good enough as a drop back passer to win the Super Bowl?
Not right now.
Imagine this offense with an elite quarterback.
I mean, here's what I would say. Imagine any offense with an elite quarterback, number one.
Yeah.
Look, at the end of the day,
I mean, it's all circumstantial. He could, yes.
yeah.
But-
And look,
Not the way he
Hurts is
played
capable.
today.
Jalen Hurts is capable of being a good drop back passer, and we've seen it not just in 2022, not just in that Super Bowl, but this season. Like we've seen him go out and execute really good, drop back passes and do a nice job of getting through progressions and attacking all 3 levels. Just last week, even in a small sample, we've seen him do it. He just does not do it consistently enough to give you a ton of faith right now. And that's why, in my opinion, why I feel like they have streamlined the pass game. But look, they're going to the big thing has always been, and we talked about it last week. Last week they had that 3rd and 7 where he hit Dallas Goedert for 9 yards. On those 2 or 3 plays in every game, can he come through for you 1 or 2 of those times? And in this game, look, they did enough to win, but not enough to inspire a lot of confidence, certainly moving forward in that facet of their offense.
Yeah, I think, it's all like, it depends on what games they have. If they've got home field advantage and you're leaning on Saquon Barkley, he can do it. But is he a good enough drop back passer in an offense that's not elite at other stuff? Right now, probably not.
Yeah.
Did they have one pass attempt more than 17, 18 yards today?
They had the one to DeVonta down the left sideline, which ended up being a 27-yard gain, but DeVonta broke some tackles. Yeah, it was like a 16-yard pass, something like that.
That might have been it. I mean, he was like I said, the average the average air yards per attempt was 5.6. That was the lowest of the season.
So they're not even.
So he's holding it the longest.
Yes,
and it's the shortest. That's a terrible combination.
That's a bad combination.
Yeah,
it's a really bad combination.
Yeah, that's bad. Rohit says Eagles pass O is horrible, worse than last year.
I mean, when you throw for 105 yards,
I agree with you, but
it's pretty bad.
Yeah. Idiot Sandwich wants us to give a shout out to Earl, Nelly, Kate, and Pat.
What up, Earl,
What's
Nelly,
up, Earl,
Kate,
Nelly,
Pat?
Kate, and Pat?
What's up, Pat, Kate, Nelly, and Earl?
Pank? Pat, Earl, Nelly, and Kate. We'll go Pank.
Sure. Kemp?
Or you go Nep with the KN.
Yeah.
Peckin.
Like Pank.
Peckin.
Yeah.
Knep. I don't know.
Peckin nest migrant.
Peckin, yeah. Stork rank Earl, Nelly, Kate, and Pat. Who do you like the best?
Ooh.
All right.
Earl is great. I trust in Earl implicitly.
We got the lowercase
Earl lowercase E.
That could just be
the
user
lowercase
error.
E is actually that's going to drop Earl down.
Nah, Earl's number 1 for me. Pat's definitely
Earl number 1
4th.
for you.
Pats are sketchy. I'm gonna go Nell 2nd, Kate 3rd.
I'm going Nelly 1.
Okay.
Hit us up in the comments, Nelly. Let us know what's going on. Ed Wright checks in. He says
up, Ed?
Nick knew that Jake and NFL kickers haven't been right since Jacksonville. Multiple kickers every week, missing multiple field goals. We gave him a guff about it, but he was right.
Yeah, with hindsight being 2020, I think he was right.
Oh man, I disagree so wholeheartedly. We're at 72% on the chat now. We're incrementally moving. Let's get more smart people voting, please. In every endeavor of our society. Jacob says if the Eagles make it to the NFC Championship game and lose with the offense looking like this, do they fire Nick Sirianni?
Oh,
I need to know if this is former NFL tight end Jacob Tammy.
That's a great question.
Please respond, and it doesn't need to be a super chat.
Because I think the answer would be yes. As crazy as that sounds.
The NFC Championship game.
You're playing the Lions, right?
And the offense looks like this.
And you just get outclassed, and the Lions put up, it's 30 plus, and the Eagles can barely put together 14 or 17 points.
If the offense, if
the
first 2
offense,
games,
probably not. I think NFC Championship.
I think they would have to look
for me
sketchy.
Probably not.
Yeah, I think that would have to look
leading up
sketchy
to
in the playoffs leading up to it.
Yeah.
But I see a scenario where that could be possible.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we can debate about this decision to punt based on how it worked out. I can promise you that Jeffrey Lurie did not like that decision.
I don't doubt you there.
And I think, to me, more importantly, the status of the pass game right now is not. Jeffrey's not happy about that.
Amen.
Yeah, he's not happy about that.
105 yards. Oof.
Bad. All right. We will hear shortly, hopefully, from Nick Sirianni. What is up with Nick? He continues to take longer and longer after the game to do these post-game press conferences. Right? Yeah.
Well, what's going on?
Got to get himself together. So we'll hear from him shortly.
They'd look for a QB. That's very possible.
Zach Berman. Yeah. I mean, keep the factory churning. I mean, they've already gotten Tanner McKee. I don't know why.
Drew Aller, 2nd round. Come on down.
We got Nick. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Nick Sirianni at the podium. Let's see what he has to say.
more than people think there.
The wind.
You know, we hit
Okay.
those 2 backed-up punts last week against Baltimore, and we did a great job of putting them backed up. Almost got a safety. You know, Bryce Young got out of there. I thought Bryce Young did some good things, but he ended up getting out of there. But it was more about, you know, the wind being a little bit more than I think that was understood. I mean, out there as far as what it was, and you could feel that, and then just you know, just the success that we've had in this backed up or plus 50 punt game.
Going forward there wasn't part of the.
It was 4th and 9.
You guys came away with the win, second week in a row where the passing offense, the numbers have been where they were, like say last year or the year before. What do you think has to be done to correct it?
Yeah, you know, we did the things that we needed to do to win today. We'll look at the tape. It's hard to say off the, you know, just watching it, but you know, everyone's gonna have a part of that when you don't pass it the way you want to. But again, I'll have to go watch everything. But we're definitely capable of playing better and coaching better in the pass game.
It seemed like there were a couple of deep shots that were drawn up specifically for AJ. First play being one of them. Why weren't those passes?
Well, sometimes, you know, there's different reasons for each one of them, and there's everything. There's so many things that go into, you know, making a play, and so making a deep shot like that. And different reasons for each one. I'll have to go back and look at it. But again, I think, you know, we definitely, we're all going to come away from this coaching, playing, and say, hey, there's things we got to do better in the pass game. But, you know, our run game was able to do some really good things. I think that's fair. The questions of our pass game right now, you know, but how cool is it that Saquon Barkley did, what was it, Bob?
Team rushing record.
Yeah, we have a team rushing record in whatever we're in at week 13. So, you know, we were able to run the ball well today. Jalen had some really good runs. Saquon obviously did a great job. Offensive line did a great job blocking. And our defense played, you know, it was kind of that, what did they call that? Bend, don't break type defense. So they got some yards and were able to move the ball. But we got some stops when we needed to in some critical moments, and interception by Chauncey. And, you know, Chauncey kept fighting through and got back into the game. And I just thought it was an unbelievable play to end the game. We talked a lot about playing for 60 minutes with relentless effort. And what do you see on the last play that's not a kneel down? You see Jalen Carter, you know, come off the ball like a crazy man. You see Sweat put pressure on him, and then you see Slay diving to make a pass break up. So I thought our guys, you know, even though there were times it was ugly, it's hard to win in this league. That team's been playing a lot better week in, week out. A lot of respect for Coach Canales and the job that he's done. But our guys played their butts off for 60 minutes. That's what you know. It's the NFL. It's tough, but our guys they played hard, and they played hard for 60 minutes, and it showed up on that last play.
What you tell your team after a game like that?
And don't, you know, enjoy the victory. Don't be a prisoner of your expectations, and enjoy it. You know, but we got a lot to clean up. There's no doubt about that. And so enjoy it for the night. I can enjoy it for a couple hours because I'll go home and I'll start watching it and looking at that. Those guys can enjoy it for a little bit longer because we got to get back to work tomorrow. And then it was just about getting back to, so, you know, again, you got to have, one thing I said to him is like, remember how it feels when you lose and everything. And I think I might have said this to the coaches, and all the, how much it hurts when you lose and how down you are when you lose. You got to enjoy a victory, no matter what the expectation was. My expectation was this was going to be a hard game because this is a team that keeps getting better with the Carolina Panthers, and so enjoy it and put your head down and work. And then what I said to the guys is, you know, everybody has the will to win, and we all want to win. But are we all willing to do the things necessary that winning requires? And I think that this team does. And that's just my way of saying to them, hey, it's going to be about the work again next week going to play the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Cooper Jay comes back in the game. It looked like late in the game, Joe Casper went to try to get him off the sideline, off the field. He said no. How many players, I'm assuming CJ might be one of them, have the autonomy to say no, I'm going to stay in the game?
Yeah, I don't know if that happened. I think what you're probably talking about is that I don't recall Cooper saying no. I don't think he did.
CJ.
CJ. Yeah, I don't know if that happened. I think he was trying to maybe get him. Chauncey plays every play. I don't know if it was about the injury when he was down with his, with whatever, I'm not going to get into injuries. I haven't talked to these guys yet, but I don't know if it was about that or not. Yeah, so I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry. Respect the question, but sorry, I don't have the answer for you.
On CJ's interception, looked like Josh Cooper was signaling something. It was a slot fade, I think, and CJ was over to come over. When you talk to big, just the young defensive backs, their ability to communicate. This time you had Tristan in there, and that's what big defenses are known for, all that zone coverage. How impressive is it that those guys can?
Yeah, they watch a lot of tape and put themselves in a lot of different scenarios, and I think you saw it with Nakobe a couple weeks ago, of the interception that he had against Jacksonville, and talking about, hey, I was waiting for this one, right? Well, that happens. That's so cool about the preparation that you put in all week. That happens a bunch. That happened with Zach Bond last week on a big third down stop against Baltimore. And so when those things happen and you see it, that's huge. But we also understand that the offense is going to show you looks that they've run in the past and do something else. So it takes good playing and good recognition, and our guys, again, I thought that was really good play.
Cooper has to deal with a lot of different styles of receiver in the slot. What do you think specifically he can take away from going against Thielen today? I mean, he's been a guy in the
Yeah, gosh, man, a lot of respect for Adam Thielen. He's been respect how he got into the league, respect how he made a way for himself, respect how he's turned into one of the better receivers in the NFL. I'm a big fan of his and how he plays this game. And so, yeah, I think what he'll be able to take from that is the craftiness of him, because he finds ways to get open. And so, a lot of experience to not quite as much experience. And so, but you get an opportunity to learn from everybody you play against, and learn from that. That's our job, to make sure that we get better, win, lose, or draw, every time we step onto the field, and after every time we play, and get better from it. And Coop's been doing a really good job of that, no matter who he's been going against. But a lot of respect to Adam Thielen, and the career that he's put together, and the game that he played today. A good player.
Are there any adjustments you tried to be able to get done with his legs when maybe the passing game isn't clicking?
Yeah, he's just a good all-around player, and so he has this ability that if things aren't, again, like we talked about, we didn't play to our standard in the pass game, but he's able to make plays in different ways. That's a huge asset that he has as a quarterback, and so, man, that was a huge third down, and I think 8 that he ran and got us a huge gain. It was around midfield, got us a huge gain. It was the last play of the third quarter. Man, what a big-time play that was to help set up a scoring drive right there. And so, yeah, I mean, he just, again, just think, I said what I said about him last week with, deserves to be in the MVP conversation, and I stand by that. He's done a lot of really good things, but like I said, as a whole, coaching and playing as a whole, everybody, it wasn't quite good enough in the pass game, but you got to give the Carolina Panthers credit for that.
Last one. What'd you see on the legged play? Did you see it right away?
I'm sorry?
Did you see it, the legged play, when he dropped it?
He had his back to me, and then the scoreboard never showed it. So I got some information from upstairs that they thought the ball hit the ground. Just like I thought it was a great call by the official. But no, they said it because sometimes you worry that maybe the official didn't see it clean, and they're going to review it. And the information I got upstairs is no, they made the right call there, and I said, damn right they did.
What was your emotions like at that point? I mean, there's 52 seconds left to play, and you've had victory snatched from the jaws before. I mean, what's going on in your mind in the sideline right
In my mind is, okay, if he caught it, he scored a touchdown because he rolled into the end zone, and we have 3 timeouts and 52 seconds left to go. Let's go win.
All right, thanks.
Go trust the kicker who you just threw off the bus to hit a game-winning field goal. All right, we have a lot still to get to. We're going to talk and give appreciate? That's not a word. Appropriate appreciation for Saquon Barkley, breaking the franchise rushing record. Fran has some good news about Jalen Carter, and we also want to hear more from you in the chat
and
about
AJ Brown's talking in the locker room.
Oh, well, hopefully Zach Berman. And you notice that Zach wasn't asking questions in there, so that tells you he's doing hard work in the locker room. So we will hear from him in a little bit as well. But first, we do have to take a break. Let us know in the comments what else you want to talk about. Now, a lot has changed over the years. One thing that hasn't is coaches trying to punt to win. But another thing that hasn't is the great taste of Miller Lite. Another thing that hasn't changed is that it remains less filling. So what is the best thing about the original light beer? Well, Miller Lite sparked this debate in 1975, and we still haven't settled it. Good news is, it doesn't really matter because you get both with Miller Lite. Miller Lite keeps it simple, undebatable quality, great taste, and only 96 calories. It's the beer that strips away everything you don't need and holds on to what matters most. A light beer that tastes like, get this, beer.
Whoa.
Less filling and only 96 calories. The original light beer since 1975. You don't have to choose what's best. Miller Lite has great taste and is less filling. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/PHLY Birds, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.
And let me tell you about our friends over at C-Jam Construction. And they're doing something this holiday season that is awesome. They're benefiting, again, words, weird today.
It's a little trap game for us, too.
Yeah. Look ahead week, benefiting the CHOP, the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, and anybody that has CHOP near and dear to their heart is aces in my book. And that's what C-Jam Construction is doing. Right now, they're doing a giveaway. Forget about them for a second. They're doing a benefit for the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia through December 20th. And if you're looking for a great holiday gift for that Birds fan in your life, a chance to win this raffle is a great one because they're giving away a Yeti cooler, which are awesome, quite expensive. Don't really want to pay for those. If you can win one, it's even better. With a Kelly Green Saquon jersey. All proceeds of the raffle are going towards the CHOP online toy drive. Raffle tickets are $10 a piece, and there's no limit to the amount a person can donate in one shot. The winner is going to be drawn on December 21st, and you can enter this giveaway at cjamconstruction.com/toy drive. Their goal is to help alleviate the challenges and frustrations that come with home modeling. That's their business. Right now, during the holidays, they're focused on helping CHOP and their toy drive. So be sure to mention PHLY, and you can get 15% off when you call 856-329-2933 about your next home project. See their full selection and learn more about the products and warranties on their website at cjamconstruction.com.
All right, now you will notice, if you take a look at the set around us, that we are missing our man, Vinny Curry, who is watching his son Noah at an awesome national tournament down in Florida. We'll have him back next week. But that means that we've gone so long in this show without giving appropriate
Saquon.
We can't do it like he can.
No.
But you can get the shirt like he can if you go to the store at allcitynetwork.com. Saquon Barkley sets the franchise rushing record in his 13th game of the season, Jamie. Wild.
He is ridiculous. And, Kyle Neubeck from our Sixers show came out and was like, so how's Saquon look today? And I was like, ho-hum, a quiet 110 yards, and it doesn't even feel like
it's like the easiest 12-yard gains you've ever seen.
Yeah, his average for an NFL running back, a 2-yard pickup for him is 6-7 yards. It really is unbelievable what he's doing this year. He's still, I think, on pace to set the record. I have to do the math, but an additional game than Eric Dickerson.
Yeah,
but he still is on track here.
So Next Gen put out his numbers in terms of like rush yards over expected. He had 28 today. It was middle of the road in terms of how it was this season. But just an interesting anecdote. So he extended his lead over. He's well ahead of everybody in the league. He's well ahead of whatever Eagles running back has done. And to the relitigate year old argument with Zach on what this offense would look like with an A+ running back. No Eagles running back has ever had more than 100 yards over expectation in the last 7 seasons. So basically during the next gen era. He's got 480 this year. No Eagles running back has had more than 100.
Wow.
He had 28 today. And like, what was a ho-hum day?
Yeah.
Like, basically, like, cut whatever Miles Sanders and DeAndre Swift had done. Like, a third of that happened today from.
So here's my philosophical chicken or the egg question for you.
Yeah.
Would the passing game be this bad if Saquon Barkley wasn't this good?
So that was, as I was reading this, I was reading the stat as you guys were doing the ad reads. And as I read it, I was putting it in the context of like, all right, the Eagles running back to the pass. And that's where my head went was, what if this offense didn't have Saquon Barkley?
If this offense didn't have Saquon Barkley.
That's his case for the MVP.
And they couldn't lean on him.
Yeah.
Would they be solving problems in the passing game better because they would have to.
By necessity?
Yeah. Or would they just be a bad team?
Or
they could just be a bad team.
I kind of lean towards the latter. Like, obviously, they would still be one of the better run teams in football. But to the level of which we have seen this, where they've just, I mean,
if Tyrone Tracy was their running back,
no, it wouldn't be.
They're a bad team.
Yeah, I think so. Record-wise, they would not be. They certainly wouldn't have 2 losses in the year. Now,
do you think if that were the case? I mean, we're just playing around in an imaginary universe.
Yeah,
like if they had to be more pass heavy. And they were force feeding the ball to AJ Brown and DeVonta Smith more, even if the routes themselves were uncreative. Yeah, I think they maybe those guys would certainly be more prolific, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
is there like Jalen Hurts? I don't think regresses is the right framing, but would he be better if he had more time on task as a drop back passer in games? Like,
the thing is like with the drop back pass development, with Jalen Hurts, like we've seen him be a high volume passer, and we've seen him operate, and obviously like this year they're deciding, okay, we're gonna trim that back a lot, and he hasn't been great at it this year to begin with, like early on in the season. So this offensive staff is saying, okay, let's back off on that a little bit. Let's lean into Saquon Barkley. These are questions we can't answer, but in the imaginary universe that we're talking about, I don't know, man. I think this would be a worse team. I think it would be a worse offense.
The chicken came first, by the way.
Yeah.
There's proteins in the eggshell that can only be from the chicken.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I thought this was like a Far Side reference. Is the Far Side one where
I used to love Far Side.
And one of them, they got the cigarettes link. Well, that answers that. Is that the Far Side? Is it a Far Side?
I don't know.
It might not be. But it's a good
What
one.
were you looking at as a teen there, Bo?
It's a good cartoon.
It is good, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thought experiment. You also have some good next
I didn't
gen.
like it, to be honest with you. Because I think they're a bad team without Saquon Barkley.
Well, and it's also like if Saquon Barkley was only 80% of what if Saquon Barkley was only the 5th best running back
Josh
in
Jacobs
football.
this year.
Yeah,
right.
I think that's probably a different. I think they're still a good.
They're still good, but
Yes.
like without the explosiveness.
Yeah.
Then it would obviously would make they would
Like
have to
DeAndre
lean more on
Swift
the
isn't
passing
really
game.
like he's not like a changer. You know what I mean? Like he's kind of like
so
your
he's a
average
replacement level
war
starting
player.
running back. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so like if they have him, I think you see what you saw at the end of last year.
Yeah.
Now the defense is a lot better than it was at the end of
Yes.
last year, but offensively, it's probably crap.
Interesting. All right, Jalen Carter, you have some nuggets.
Yeah, season
Jalen
high.
Carter was on one today.
Yeah.
Having watched the first half. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. So career high 6 pressures today on 38 rushes. 4 of them came in the first quarter, the most in a single quarter by any Eagles defender this season. Once again, played 89.9% of the snaps. 4th straight game playing 50 or more snaps. He'd only had 1 game of that before this season.
I don't know. This might come back to bite them. All the Jalen Carter snaps.
You were ahead of it
know.
last year with Josh Sweat and Reddick. You hope that doesn't go down that path.
Yeah.
But it was around this time when it started to affect Sweat last year.
So we can effectively say that there are no more games where you're going to be able to rest Saquon in the 4th quarter and Jalen Carter in the 4th quarter.
Well, I think they exist.
Like even
they
the
can.
Giants.
Yeah.
Like,
You just got. I think they
Not
absolutely can and
definitive- yeah,
should.
not
they
definitely.
can.
Yeah, they can.
But will they?
Well, I mean, the team that we
Didn't-
saw for most of this
True.
win streak, yeah, I would say so.
But most of their
today-
damage is coming late in the game, right? Like
I mean,
even
that's the
versus
problem.
bad
Yeah.
teams.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Well, yeah, that's the at the end of the first quarter in this game. I didn't add it up as the second, third, and fourth quarters went on, but the Eagles' point differential just by quarter over the course of the season.
Were they negative?
Negative 42 in the first quarter.
Oh, my God.
That's 29th in the league.
Wow.
Okay, and again, they had two
Try to believe there
terrible
are 3
first
teams
drives.
that are worse.
It's crazy. Second quarter, plus 57, that's second. Third quarter, plus 32, that's fifth. Fourth quarter, plus 52, that's first. Now, that was before the second, third, fourth quarter of this game.
Right.
But, that just tells you, like, week after week, they cannot get off the bus.
Yeah, I mean the slow starts offensively, continue to be a theme. Kenny Gainwell had 5 touches in the first half of the game.
No, boy, were you excited?
Well, look, I think that if they're going into it thinking like, hey, you know what, we're not going to be able to rest them in fourth quarter, then they have to start mixing them in. They have to.
Yeah.
Would you like the quote from A.J. Brown?
Oh, please.
And this goes to your point about him being ticked. I can sense the sassy in his answer. This was from Martin Frank. A.J. Brown on asked, what's wrong with the offense? Passing.
He's right.
And Martin Frank goes on to say he was not happy saying the offense isn't good enough right now.
Yeah, he's right. And this is we talked about it with Devontae Adams last year. Remember last year, Devontae Adams was very upset with the Raiders. And it's like, it's not because he wants the ball. It's because he knows him getting the ball gives them the best chance to win.
Yeah.
And so that's why AJ Brown wants the ball, because the offense is going to be better if they throw him the ball.
Yeah, right.
It's amazing to me in a world where you have Saquon Barkley, you can't be effective in the play action game week after week after week.
Well, they've been effective with
at
play
times,
action,
yes, they have. But versus the Carolina Panthers, come on.
Well, let's break that down, because that's the right context. The right context is against this Panthers defense over the course of the season.
Yeah.
Okay. You look at the numbers. So just stack up the 13 games against the Panthers in this game, in this season. 7th of those 13 games in EPA per drive for the full offense. 10th in success rate, 12th in yards per play of those 13 games. Just the passing game, the 12th of the 13 games against the Panthers in yards per dropback, 4.8, and 13th, dead last in success rate, 39.3%. So arguably the worst offensive performance of any team that has played the Panthers this season.
Against what is by EPA per pass, they were 31st. Success rate against the pass, they were 31st. Explosive pass rate, they were 31st. I mean, the door was wide open for this pass game to be an eruption spot, and for Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, for them to go off.
And I'm laughing. I'm thinking because there's the different all city markets, right? And for most of them, like anytime you get a win is like it's like celebration time. let's pop the drinks, because most of those teams are not very good. And you tune into this game, the Eagles win their 9th game in a row, and we are just dejected. Like this team sucks.
Yeah, Broncos would be happy with this win. Yeah. Bears would be thrilled with this win. Yeah. The Cowboys would be
Well, they'd be angry with a win because they just want to tank.
At this
point for draft positioning. Right.
This was kind of the Panthers' ideal situation today, right? Hang, be competitive, see stuff out of your young quarterback.
But Bryce Young looks good. Yeah. Let's check in with Jalen Hurts. We don't need to necessarily listen to the whole thing, but let's see what I'm
going to start the cliche clock now.
Where did that game kind of go in your opinion?
I think they did a good job. I think we did a bad job. That starts with me, how I execute, and ultimately, you yearn and I yearn for better synchronization amongst that. Yearn for a more complementary style of ball in a sense. Some things don't get you until it gets you, and it's been definitely been some urgency there trying to figure it out, and got to keep climbing and trying to progress in it.
Any takeaways right now?
Not at the moment.
What's holding you back?
Just the lack of synchronization there.
Jalen, that final offensive possession you had on down to the 2-yard line. Just take us through that. You had
usually does not
a 9-yard sack. Could have thrown the ball away, maybe. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, delay of game. I was just assessing protection, and made a mistake I never really make in letting the clock run out, and then taking the sack. Had an RPO scheme on, so I didn't want to risk the lineman being downfield, so I just took the sack instead of throwing the ball away. It's kind of both ends. You get kind of down both ends.
Sorry, what can you guys do better to start the games better? I mean, you guys went, didn't get anything going until the second quarter. I mean, what's kind of
well, it's nothing new. That's kind of what we've done, and to figure it out at some point.
You obviously know AJ well. When there's moments of frustration from him, what have you learned about what that means and the best way to kind of solve it?
It ain't about solving anything. Everybody has a reason to want more, and it's a fair desire of being in fullness of what we can be, because we've done it before, and just got to build, got to progress, have to find a way to come together and come in sync as a unit and play complementary ball.
You talk about things coming back and biting you. If slow starts continue, do you worry at some point that's going to come back and bite you guys?
I'm worried about, you think about both, right? Like you are where you are, but you also know what you've been through. And we know what we've been through and we've experienced, and trying to address some things so we can be better. And so we all have big goals and want to be able to, be the last team standing, but you also know that it takes what it takes in that too. So we just want to continue to pursue our best self in that, and hopefully we can find it.
On the third down scrambles that you had,
Hey, what the haircut looks great.
was that just because they were just taking away what you had, or did you feel at that moment that's something
Fade
that you needed
boys.
to bring to
No, there's not a decision just to, take off at free will. Pockets break down. As I recall, some of them I'm nearly getting sacked, and so you're just going out there and making a play and trying to will it.
When you talk about the need for synchronization on the offense, how do you get there?
You get there by everybody being on the same page and going out there and executing and
Bless you, Julian.
becoming in sync. We see our moments where we play at a high level, and then we see our moments where we don't. I think we just have to do what we do and we do well.
Calcaterra has his first touchdown catch today, big third down throw. Can you take us through that play a little bit? Was he late into the pattern?
Yeah, it was late into the pattern. Kind of a delayed route there, a little long developing route, but he did a good job of running it, trusting it, and being open, getting open.
Saquon getting the record, what does that mean to you? And did you know how close he was at the time when he got it?
I didn't know where it was. I figured it was coming at some point here, but that's a great accomplishment for him. I told him congratulations about it after the game, and it's a great moment for him.
Bryce Young, what message did you share to him post game? Where do you see kind of his NFL future going?
I just love love how he's been able to persevere through some of the things that he's been faced with, and like seeing him comfortable out there and playing the way he's playing. So that's encouraging for him, and I always support him and wish him nothing but the best in that.
How uncomfortable was watching him on that last drive?
Not uncomfortable. He's a great player, and it rolled our way.
The notion of trying to be on the same page, is that a conversation that should be happening in week 13 of the season? Or the 13th
No.
of the season? And why is that the case right now?
I just say no.
Ooh, stonewalling ZB, not cool. Not cool, Jalen.
What'd you see?
He's usually good with ZB, actually, so that tells you he's
I
pissed.
could definitely
I
alert
think we can
him.
pull out
He popped on the vision chase.
I think you're right. It's notable.
Ideally,
It's a little bit unlike him usually to take this much responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah,
especially right afterwards.
Yeah.
He looks ticked. I wonder if part of the delay for Sirianni was they had to air some grievances a little bit in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
Is if AJ's hot, like the pictures I'm seeing of him standing in his locker stall, Martin Franks, he looks pissed. And I think they know, like,
and I'll tell you what, though,
this isn't
I
a
would
winning
feel like
formula.
if he's still that pissed, that means that they didn't fully air it out.
Good point.
Right.
It's a good point.
Got a lot of problems with you people. It is the holiday
We're all
season.
gonna hear about it.
Yeah, a little Festivus. I want to go back to, because he talked about it, when he takes the sack on the RPO, because we saw him do it last week and throw it away, which we're like, oh, that's a really smart play, because he was you're already behind the line of scrimmage, and if you take the sack there, it's second and, I think in that situation it was like 14 or 16 or something like that.
Yep.
In this one, it's second and 19, and he says it, he didn't want to risk the person being downfield. I'm sorry, that's much better. So if you throw it away, it's either going to be second and 10 because they decline it, or first and 15. which is way better than second and 19. And this was in the mid. I mean, this was a huge point in the game. It was 5:30 left.
Yep.
In the fourth quarter, they're up 6 points. Like they got to go. They got to go win the game. Like that's from a guy who has played as many football games as he has, who has run RPOs as much as he has. Like that's bad.
And it tells me that last week's was an accident,
right?
And also that it wasn't.
It wasn't then gone over.
Yeah, it wasn't
reinforced,
or it was gone over, and it still didn't. It still
Isn't
just didn't
Sirianni
hit.
the master of details though?
Right.
Like, there's been some outsiders that come in and are like, "Wow, they go over everything here."
Yeah,
so I'd have to imagine that is something that is kind of tattooed in his mind.
Yeah, it probably. I mean, they probably went over it. We don't know that they definitely did, but if it
And
was
this one
going
in particular,
over,
he was already outside the pocket.
Yes.
It wasn't just like he had to take the sack because he had no choice.
Correct,
Like
yep.
he was already in a position where he could have
No
thrown
question.
it away.
Yes, no question.
That's bad
play.
It's a bad play. All right, let's take another short break. But before we do that, make sure that you are letting us know what you think of Jalen's performance. And if you're not watching live, comment under the video as you're watching after the fact. You know, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll be back in just a minute. True Mark Financial, our friends. We all know how hard it is to win without proper coaching. And even though 74% of the people might be wrong and think that was proper coaching, we know the smart ones that it was not. And if you've got kids, True Mark has the ultimate playbook for teaching financial responsibility with a free Greenlight account. The Greenlight app is changing the game, helping kids and teens learn how to earn, save, and spend wisely. Did you know that the house I lived in with my roommates junior and senior year of college, we called it Greenlight, and that was the name of our house.
Why?
I think there was green light and blue light a couple houses down, and blue light I think had an actual blue light, and then I don't know, it was named before I moved in.
You were just thinking of the
But with
financial
Greenlight,
app
yeah.
ahead of the time.
Well, I think that's the thing. If we had as a bozo, college junior, think of all the money I might have saved.
Hey, fumbled the
if
bag.
If I was thinking about my finances better, that's where TrueMark could have come in then, and that's where they come in now. They can set up savings goals, track their spending, and even get an allowance, all right there in the Greenlight app. And here's the really cool part. Each kid gets their own debit card so they can make purchases and learn real-world money skills while you stay in control from your phone. You get peace of mind, and they get the freedom to make smart decisions with their money. It's like coaching your kid through their very own financial game. And for TrueMark Financial members, it's free. With the holidays right around the corner, now is the perfect time to introduce your kids to Greenlight. Get signed up today. Visit truemark.com/greenlight for more information. That's truemark.com/greenlight.
And I just went into my local neighborhood Rite Aid just on Friday because I was overdue for the flu shot. And it's that time of the year. It's winter, it's cold, germs are everywhere. And you should think about getting your pneumonia vaccine and help protect yourself from pneumonia. Even adults age 50 and older now are eligible. It used to be 65, but the CDC lowered the age recommendation to 50 plus. And millions of cases of pneumonia happen every single year. It's a respiratory illness, and fall and winter are the worst times for it. It can cause respiratory disease, typically spread throughout the community. And now's the time to get vaccinated and help yourself stay healthy and ahead of the curve. Some people get pneumonia and just have mild symptoms. Others have serious complications, and the vaccine is one of the best ways to help yourself stay healthy. And it's usually no cost with your insurance. Getting vaccinated is easy. Just walk into your local Rite Aid or schedule online at riteaid.com. And if you're unsure of what vaccines you may need, I actually had to get a whooping cough when I was there. Just ask your pharmacist for a personal recommendation. Stop by your local Rite Aid today.
Whooping cough, so much worse than the whoopee cushion.
I love a good, I mean, this is not going to be a surprise, but like, big whoopee cushion guy. I still, we got Aunt Wheezy once down the shore. Had a family dinner. She just like slaved over the stove all day. Me and my cousin Mike slid her the whoopee cushion right as she sat down. She made this huge meal, and we hit her with the whoopee cushion. One of the two hardest times I've laughed in my life.
How did she take it?
She was embarrassed, like pissed, embarrassed, wasn't really sure, and the whole family was just dying.
How old were you?
After college. Mid-20s, maybe approaching 30.
How old was she?
50s,
Okay.
late 50s, early 60s.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was great. Whoopee cushions are a great time.
We introduced the Francis like a couple months ago, and he thought it was the best thing in the world.
It's the best.
He's 5.
It's the best. That's my man, Francis.
All right, some super chats to get to. Chase Daniel Plainview says, which head coach committed the larger betrayal of trust? Sirianni punting on that last drive or Dave Canales cheating on his wife? It's a super chat. You got to read it. I take no.
I mean, the Sex Panther definitely betrayed worse.
I mean, at least he came clean. Nick is pretending like that was still the right decision.
Was it really his choice though?
I think this one.
It was Nick's choice. Yeah. So was it Dave's choice to come clean?
Oh well, no, but he did. I mean,
yeah.
So maybe we'll see tomorrow. Maybe Nick will
come clean.
But remember, that's what happened after the Cleveland game.
Yeah.
Right. He sounded much different after the game than he did on Monday. So we will see if Nick continues to insist tomorrow that was the right decision.
Funniest part of all that is Tony Dungy writing the forward.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, probably best for me not to get into my personal feelings on Tony Dungy. Elias says, Bo, your point is fair, but if Nick were to agree, then it would raise even more questions about why he's there. Of course, he will seize opportunities to exert his will. Now we're talking about the punt.
Yeah,
I imagine. I don't think that him deciding to punt is like an insertion of his influence on the game type decision. I think it was. I think it was. It goes back to last week. It's that last week's decision to flip the field.
Yep.
Worked out, and so that's what's in his mind, and that's what he's going with.
Yeah, I think that's true. And also, look, like those situations that is his call. I don't think that's even like him asserting his will. Like that's under his jurisdiction.
Yeah.
That is what he's there to do.
But you guys would agree that he probably feels the best about his defense.
Yeah, but that's why I go back to it's okay to have the faith in your defense and use that as the backstop for if you don't make the field goal or if you don't go for it and get it. That's why I like John Ferrari is in his ear telling him what the win probability stuff is, like what the recommendation is to kick or not. And I would imagine that the message was like lean field goal. And Nick, in his mind, is thinking, I don't think that I can trust Jake Elliott right now. I'm going to go ahead and put the game on my defense. And I think that that's a short-sighted decision.
You mentioned Coach Flynn earlier, and obviously he knows millions of more football. You got to marry it. You don't date it. To me, I just date it. I'm not putting a ring on it because I do think there's situational instances where if your kicker, you know what I mean? Like there's not a baseline evenness to every situation because you probably presume the right play is just to kick the field goal there.
Right.
You don't have a kicker.
Now, we didn't talk about it, but he said it. He said the wind was a big factor.
Yeah,
for
that's
them there.
BS.
I mean, that's his way. Yeah, that goes back to like this is his way of
getting
trying
out
to
of not
absolve
trusting
Jake.
his- yeah.
But yes, like obviously,
So that's where Jalen just wasn't
we're not
good
talking
today,
about a 60-yard field goal. It was a 53-yarder.
Yeah.
which he's 0 for 5 on this year.
Right. But
So
that's
you don't take. Then do you want to go for it then?
No, I want to kick the
I'm
field
gonna
goal.
kick it. Yeah.
I mean,
think so.
I probably would too, but it's grown on me a lot more than I thought it would have.
Like a fungus.
Yeah. Stanza.
Joel with the super chat says Howie should plot to draft a quarterback. Need anticipation. I mean, again, this Tanner McKee erasure, I will not stand for, but I would.
If Drew Aller's there in the third round, run. To
I
the
would
podium.
tell you that Howie Roseman sees the same thing that we see about the level of play that they're getting from the quarterback right
The
now.
coaches do too.
Yes.
Yeah. But
Tyler Warren in the second, Drew Aller in the third. Let's go.
Yeah, because Penn State's offense. Oh,
Yeah.
Penn State's offense last night looked pretty good.
Now they can't like the contract is such that. I know we're
that's a
getting
lie.
way
Yeah,
too
yeah,
far
yeah,
down.
yeah,
Like,
right.
He's not going anywhere.
No.
Right.
No.
But they are not. I would imagine that they are not happy given the organizational investment in him and the weapons around him. That as a drop back passer, they are not getting what they are hoping from him right now. Now, also, he's had really good games in this stretch.
Sure.
And you're allowed to have down games. And we also shouldn't take away the stuff he did with his legs because there were two in particular huge plays in this game where he made big scrambles. So like that's all part of it, and the leadership stuff too. But yeah, I don't think that they liked what they saw from him as a quarterback in this game. We will get to Zach in just a second. Let's keep running through these super chats. Aaron says, Bo, admit that you are the coward. These fakes on fourth down are like buzzer beaters. No risk, low likely reward, so you might as well not shoot. So two things here. I don't understand how that makes me a coward. Go jump off a bridge.
False machismo, maybe?
But I do believe that there is diminishing returns to continuing to line up and try to draw them off sides because no one's surprised by it now. Like at some point you gotta hike it. You gotta snap it, or else like they keep doing this Mickey Mouse high school stuff. And I would tell you that I think that like there are people in the league who laugh at them for that.
Well, the Commanders just won a game on it like a couple weeks ago, didn't they?
Sure. And there are situations when it absolutely makes sense. But like the fact that they spend so much time in training camp doing this, and like it went back to like, what does Nick really do here? They lean on it way too much.
There's a certain like boy who cried wolf element to it where you need to like. Here's the thing with the Dan Campbell play at the end of the game the other night. When it's a situation where you're like, oh, they're probably not going to snap it here. That defensive line is paralyzed because they can't jump because there's the threat of the penalty. Then you go for it because you're taking advantage of it, right? Here, like, they're not jumping. Like they're not going to bite on that until you get to the point where if it's 4th and 8 and you actually do hike it,
but when it's got to be believable.
Yeah, but then the counter to that, if they're not expecting it, isn't that when you do it?
Hold on.
Like yes, but that's the thing is they're not going to do that. Like they
right.
If they're doing it on 4th and inches when it's a believable push
situation,
that's quarterback sneak. Sure,
yes,
that's totally fine. Go ahead and do that because then they really might think that you're going to go.
Yep.
Yeah,
but like on that 4th and 8, I mean,
but that would have been the perfect time to fake it and then actually go for it. Like if you decided we're not kicking, we're going to go for it.
The fungus is taking over.
Yeah, the fungus.
The fungus is taking over.
Then the defense is sleeping right in the kisser.
And then Dimitri, our man, says, love the show. Watch every day from Australia. We love you, Dimitri.
Oh, I love our Aussies.
But this is a letdown game after 3 tough weeks. Let's chill. And I think there is truth to that for sure. Let's see how they respond next week against the Steelers. And Markel, just
saying hi.
I love that. I mean, let's
Thank you, Markel.
All right.
Oh, and you have Idiot Sandwich with the update there.
Very quickly, as we get to Idiot Sandwich says Fran in the car with his parents after his mom and wife's first games, getting the super chat shout out with the live stream playing was elite.
Oh, awesome.
So was I flirting with his mom or his wife?
Nice.
Nellie's his mom. Well, even better. All right, what do we think?
The snow leopards.
We're about to go to Zach Berman. What do you think his number one goal in the locker room was?
AJ Brown.
Pass game. Yeah.
Pass game, AJ Brown. Okay. I think AJ Brown too. All right, let's bring him in. Zach Berman, live from the NovaCare, or not the NovaCare, from the LINC. Let's see what kind of shot he's got.
Oh, look at that.
There he is,
Beautiful
looking sharp.
back
Zach
shot.
Berman, how we doing? Tell us, was it AJ Brown number one for you? What was the big takeaway from the locker room? And then we're gonna get to Nick Sirianni.
Yes, the passing game overall. Now, A.J. Brown, a big part of that. A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, Jalen Hurts. I wanted to speak to all of them. A.J. Brown, I was in the back when he started talking. It's tough there. You have to wrestle your way through. So I got to the front by the end, but I had to listen back for some of the repeat questions. I was there for just about all of DeVonta. I was there for all of Jalen Hurts. And I wanted to speak to the offensive line. I was far more interested in the offense today than the defense. I thought, and frankly, players confirmed this. Players were fairly blunt about this, that the offense is not playing well. The passing game, I should say, is not playing well enough. And A.J. Brown was fairly blunt. I saw PHLY Eagles Twitter account, or X account rather. Everyone should be following it. We have the quote graphic up that A.J., when he was asked what's kind of wrong with the offense right now or what needs to improve with the offense, he said passing. And the word that the term that kept coming up was that they're not on the same page. Jalen Hurts said synchronization, and AJ, DeVonta said same page. And I asked Jalen, did you guys play Jalen? Or am I repeating this?
A little bit of Jalen, yes.
Okay, well, I actually thought the most revealing thing Jalen said was I asked him this notion of not being on the same page. Should this be happening in week 13 or game 13? he said no. Like, and
then you asked, and you asked a follow up, and he said he already said no.
Why?
He shut you down.
He said no. I think his follow up was revealing too. I asked why. He said, I'll just say no. I'll leave it at no. Basically.
Now, what a flex, by the way, to say that the most revealing thing he said was in response to a question that you asked.
No, that wasn't flex. That wasn't a flex. I think, honestly, this passing game, I don't want to say it's a problem, but
it's a problem.
They won't win in January and February if the passing game's like this.
Yeah.
And A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith, as talented as they are, I know the Eagles are running well. I know they're winning games, but you need to utilize those players more. You need to be more effective with them. They need to be involved earlier. A.J. Brown had 2 targets at the end of the third quarter. That's the fewest he's had in any game that he's finished in his career, right? The Giants game last year, or I shouldn't say his career, in his Eagles career. I filtered it by Eagles career. So that's problematic. And I frankly thought it was a good thing, or a self-aware thing. I shouldn't say good, self-aware thing, that in the locker room, those players weren't running from it. And AJ and DeVonta, they were honest about that. And Jalen, to an extent, he was, as much as Jalen could be, was honest about that. So this is, you hear a win's a win, but that was not a satisfied locker room. Now, Jordan Mailata said to me, or said to us, I should say, not to me, to us, that it's not like someone died in there, right? But that wasn't a post-game locker room that felt that was especially excited about or thrilled or enthused about what had transpired during the previous 3 hours.
Now, Zach, let's stay on the wide receivers, because we talked about this a little bit, and I'm curious your thought on it. This is not a situation where A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith want the ball so that they can get paid, right? Howie Roseman paid them in the offseason. They've been paid. They want the ball because they know that if they get the ball, that the offense is going to be better. They want to win, and A.J. Brown knows that him getting the ball is the best path to them winning. Is that the way that you look at it, or do you look at this more like, oh, wide receivers are always going to want the ball?
No, I think you hit it on the head, Bo. And look, I think the way their offense has functioned through the first, 12, 13 weeks of the season here, really since the bye, it would be harder to accomplish, or be harder for everyone to be happy with, had A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith not been paid. But you took care of that. But I think they realize that for this offense to be what it can be, what it needs to be, there needs to be that part of it. The big play threat, the moving the sticks through the air. What that will do for Saquon, frankly, is beneficial, right? They've won 9 in a row. Let's not dismiss that. But you need more from A.J. Brown. You need more from DeVonta Smith, and you need more because you need to get them more. You need to utilize them more. And whether that's on Jalen Hurts, whether that's on Kellen Moore, I could say, and I'll defer to Fran when we have Tuesday's show and in the article on allphly.com, but from where I was sitting, there were plays that A.J. Brown was open. There was a third down, the third down that preceded him slamming the helmet. I thought he was open. In particular, in the late fourth quarter, J.C. Horn goes down, right? Their best corner goes down. He's not out there. It should be like, go to AJ, go to AJ, go to AJ. They did it twice, and then they abandoned it. It's not like baseball where you bat once and then you have to give everyone else a turn, right? You can keep going to AJ. And so I think this is a concern, and it's a concern that it hasn't prevented them from winning. I want to make that clear. Like, look, their record is what it is. They're on this winning streak. It's a credit to them. But I think it will affect them winning in January. And that needs to be, I said this in the postgame, or the pregame rather, when speaking to Jamie and Fran. That's the way I'm looking at this team now. Is not what does it take to beat the Panthers, or what is it going to take in 3 weeks to beat, Washington or Dallas or the Giants. Pittsburgh might be a different story. But what I'm looking at is, what are you playing well enough to beat Detroit? Are you playing well enough to? They beat Baltimore last week. I get it, but
Minnesota's
that
11-2 now. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Green Bay, like you need to be more efficient and more prolific through the air, and they're not there right now.
Yeah.
Zach, you said you spoke to the offensive line as well. What was their perspective?
Yeah, their perspective was that the Panthers' run defense was doing some things that they didn't see. Lane especially gave a lot of credit to the Panthers. He said the Panthers are a different team than what their record says they are. So he was impressed with what they did, and they, so they were kind of proud that they were able to muscle out some tough yards there. Both those guys didn't want to get there. Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson didn't want to fight too much regarding the passing game. They said they don't really see that, right? They're holding their blocks, but they don't see what's developing downfield, so they couldn't really answer that. But they did say that, like, they need to play better on offense, and they can't expect the defense to bail them out. And I framed it that way too, to both players. And they know they can't count on the defense holding opponents to 16 points. They're confident that they will, but they can't count on that. And there's been too much counting on that this season. So yeah, it was the offensive line felt like they're not playing up to their standard, that there are things that they must clean up here. Now, both of them said that it's a win. You do what it takes to win. A win's a win. You heard that. You didn't hear that from DeVonta Smith. You heard that from some of the other guys. But it was clear in talking to them that they feel this offense must play better.
So Zach, there's an elephant in the room here, and it said the Eagles don't have a kicker that they trust. Did it come up at all with Sirianni, or did anyone speak to Jake Elliott in the locker room? Because I'm sure Bo's going to ask you about the decision to punt here next. But that was a pretty loud signal from the sidelines today, not attempting the kick there. What do you think they do going forward with Jake Elliott? I mean, you kind of just have to ride him out, but it's going to affect a lot.
Yeah, so regarding that now, for full disclosure, I did not go to Nick Sirianni's press conference today. I went to
I didn't hear
Saquon Barkley was talking at the same time.
He said it was he talked about the win.
Yeah, no, it did. Yeah, it came up. It was the first question. So you guys might have jumped in midway through or early on. He said that, and someone told me Jake said this too. Okay, yeah, that it was the wind, and he said it was windier on the field than it might have seemed. So, look, that's certainly plausible. That would be the case. But yeah, Jake's 0 for 5 this year on 50+ yard field goals. The numbers are what they are. He missed an extra point that got taken off the board. They were able to go for 2 there. It was actually pretty big in the game there. But I think that kicker problem, this is long enough to be a trend, and it needs to be taken into account. I still think they trust Jake. I still think in a money situation they're not going to be afraid to go to Jake.
But Zach, that was
to
a money
your point,
situation.
when you have a 4th,
what do you mean?
And 8.
That was a money situation, and they didn't trust him.
Yeah. So no. So Bo, now what Sirianni said, and I am going to buy this. No, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah. I am going to buy what. Hold on. Okay. I might have to just switch wireless networks here real quick. Will that cut me off if I do that?
You're getting all kinds of Wi-Fi issues this weekend.
This conversation got too hot.
He's looking ahead to next week, just like the Eagles. It's classic trap game.
Oh no. We'll check back in a minute.
All right, I'll get him in a sec. And in the meantime, we can go to the other super chats. Aaron Wideman is back. Says, I proved his point. I'm a coward because I care what other people think. Because I'm being cowardly. Oh, this is what Lurie thinks, not me. Well, listen, Aaron, you're making a very eloquent point. Clearly, you're a very smart person. He also says the Bills are down 24-14. Are we? Their season spelled THERE. Tells you all you need to know about Aaron. Markel says, thanks for pronouncing my name correctly. What is the status of James Bradbury? With the safeties being hurt, would he have a role right now?
Oh, God, no.
Well, listen, though.
I know, it's desperate times.
Right. In theory,
yeah.
This is the reason that he's been around here, as if break glass in case of emergency, some help at safety. No, CJ Gardner-Johnson came back into this game.
Yep.
And Reed Blankenship does not have a long-term injury. He should be back relatively soon. So I don't think that they necessarily need to go to him, but it's a fair point because the longer this goes on, like will tell us the truth about what they thought about James Bradbury.
I think we have ZB back as well. But yes, I don't want to see James Bradbury in any situation ever.
All right, let's go back to Zach. All right, Zach. So it was a money situation. It was a 53-yard field goal in slightly difficult conditions to go up 9 points instead of 6 points with over 3 minutes to go.
Yes. Now, I would have kicked the field goal, but I do buy what Nick Sirianni said. Yeah. No, do you have me here?
We have you. You're delayed, but go ahead.
I do buy what Nick Sirianni said, which was, okay, so Nick looked at the way they punted last week against Baltimore, and that was factoring into his thought process here. He thought that he could punt the ball there, pin them back, and try to make them go the length of the field. I disagree with the decision, but I do think that was Nick's thought process, that he saw it work last week, talks about this whole the plus 50 punting game. I disagree with how he approached it, but I think that was as more of a factor than not having confidence in Jake Elliott. I see your point, and look, it's a bad look there, not to go to your kicker on a 53-yard field goal. I'm not on the field to know what the win situation is. I can't speak to that. I'll take them at their word there. I do know that Nick was especially proud of the punting last week and the effect that had in the game. He said today that they pinned them back. They almost got a safety. And look, Bryce Young had to make a big play for them to even get out of the end zone there. So I think that was Nick's thought, was that they could pin them back, force the Panthers to go the length of the field. That said, I disagree with it. It's not the move I would have made, but or that I would have made. But I do think that where Nick's coming from there is a place of like confidence in his punting game, even if I disagree. Because if you do miss that field goal, then Carolina has has a much shorter field, and it changes the odds there. I think you're trying to force them to go 98, 99 yards.
There's also, to be fair, a difference between pinning them deep with the goal being that you're then going to get the ball back and score yourself, which is not this situation. This is trying to lengthen the field for them to score a touchdown, which is probably going to be a 4-down drive unless they go 3 and out on the on the first series of downs. So it's not quite the same thing. And we knew that he was going to learn the wrong lesson from that punt last week. I don't think that was the right decision. And he can talk about the wind as a factor. And I'm sure, of course, you have to factor that in. That is a part of the process. But if Jake Elliott was Jake Elliott of last year, he's kicking that field goal, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, that's a valid point there. And again, and you guys know this, they have kicking lines where they say you have to get to this line, and that factors in the wind. I'm sure that factors in the way Jake's kicking too, right? So, but and if Jake was 5 of 5 on kicks at 50+ yards, maybe that line there is different than what it was. But to the original point of the question, a kicking problem, they're dealing with the same thing Baltimore's dealing with from where I stand, is that they have a guy they've invested a lot in, who's built a lot of equity, who's not kicking well enough right now. And you're not going to move on from him. A, he's done too much. B, he earns too much. You have to ride through it. And this is where you need to hope that, all right, you have 4 games remaining here. Figure this out, because this can cost you a playoff game. Missed extra points, missed chip shot field goals. Missed 50-yard field goals, right? They're going to have close games late in the season. And they need more from Jake Elliott. That's absolutely accurate.
I think figuring out Jake Elliott right now, in my opinion, is fixing the passing game, because you're not going to be able to kick some of these field goals. And I have no confidence watching him. I probably would have loved to have put them out there today, but like, I don't know. I think they got to fix his passing game to fix Jake Elliott because I don't think they can trust him going forward. And I hate to say that because he's been money, but it's bad.
Yeah, I think those are. I think those are different issues. I don't think AJ and DeVonta going lights out is going to all of a sudden fix Jake Elliott.
Well, no, but it gives you confidence on, say, a 4th and 4 or 4th and 5 to go for it rather than take a 50-50 proposition from your field goal kicker.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, I don't think they're not going for things right now because of their passing game. But I think their passing game needs to be better. I think I think this is for an 11-2 team. I think they have things that really need to be fixed quickly.
Let's spin it to the defense, Zach, because the defense was fine, but not up to their standard of the past 8 games or so. Lining up the 13 performances against the Panthers offense this season, it was only 9th of 13 in success rate and 9th in EPA per drive defensively. They gave up 16 points, but almost surrendered what would have been a potential game-winning touchdown to Xavier Legette at the end. How did the defense react in the locker room?
Yeah, I spoke to Slay, who said that after that play to Legette, he was like, all right, you got me one time, you're not going to get me again.
Okay.
He knew they were going to go to Thielen. He said, or he expected them to go to Thielen on that final play. Said that, that's their money player. That's the player that he's like the safety net. Those two have a long history against each other going back to the NFC North. When they moved Thielen pre-snap, Slay said that was done to get vet on vet, which he kind of took, I don't say umbrage to, but he said, all right, it's on, right? And he said he locked Thielen down on the initial route. And then he said he said that on the scramble drill, then Bryce Young goes to Thielen and he jumps in front of it. He makes the play. So there was that. That was kind of a big talking point from Slay. They were happy with obviously the way the defense played overall. I need to go back and listen to CJ Gardner-Johnson because I was pretty far back in that scrum. And then bits and pieces from other guys. But honestly, most of my time was spent trying to figure out what was wrong with the offense and talking to those offensive players. And Saquon.
Now, with that offense, we saw Grant Calcaterra score his first touchdown as an Eagle. Zach, what did he do to celebrate after that touchdown?
What did he do to celebrate? You tell me. What did he do to celebrate?
No, I was hoping you were there. You saw it in person. What did he do?
It was on the opposite end zone. So the people watching on TV actually had a better glimpse than I did. What did he do to celebrate?
Take a guess.
Take a guess. Did he do the Cooper DeJean celebration?
Yeah, let's see it. Let's do it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're not getting me to do that on camera. Yeah. Yeah, no. The YouTube commenters can say what they want to say. A man must have a code. As I learned in Baltimore.
Reviews is saying, "Daddy, please do the Cooper DeJean."
Is he actually saying that?
No, he said, well, I think he wants you to. But
he wants you to do it.
He said, "Did you bring the picture?"
I love you, Reed. No, I did not bring the picture, buddy. Yeah, Reed, we can have a long conversation about journals about another time. Yeah, no, I did not bring. I did not bring Reed Blankenship the picture. But
we didn't know
Reed's got to stick together.
Well, Reed Blankenship also is in the concussion protocol.
Yeah. But I appreciate.
But you could make him up to it by
thanks
doing
for
this.
I'll fix my hair, maybe something like that. I don't know. So that touchdown pass, Jalen Hurts said it was a late developing route too. And he said that was something that, it was in the route for the ball to go late. So that's kind of a little detail about that touchdown pass. Saquon Barkley, spoke to Saquon, who he's not going to deny that legacy is important to him. When he signed with the Eagles, he researched the franchise's running back history.
Really?
He knew. Yeah, he didn't know who Montgomery was, Wilbert Montgomery, when he signed here. He did some research on Wilbert Montgomery. Obviously knows LaShawn McCoy, has a lot of respect for LaShawn McCoy. So I thought it was cool to break it. He knew going into the game how many yards he needed. He said he didn't necessarily know at the moment, but he had an idea what was going on there. By the way, I see the truth says someone's got to figure out the real meaning behind the celebration. I think Bo got to the bottom of it.
No, I don't. It's just guessing. I also see that Reed says ZB do it.
Reed. Not gonna be peer pressure. I'm not gonna be peer pressure for my own son. Reed, I love you, buddy, but your father must be a man of principle, right? So yeah. If there's a no, I don't want to be caught on tape with some of the things that might be referring to. Yeah, I would rather Bo do it. So
I think it's the 8 Mile thing. No,
I'm not sure actually. Yeah, I'm not sure it's the 8 Mile thing. So Saquon Barkley was speaking about like the way he played overall. He said it wasn't a sexy running day, but he kind of takes pride. Like it was an effective running day. They were able to do it, with bits and pieces here and there. He said his focus, the next record. The next thing is just Pittsburgh. Like he's focused on Pittsburgh. But it's kind of funny just to get kind of behind the scenes. So Saquon gets out of the shower, he's walking over to his locker, and there's like this huge crowd around it, standing by his like 15 cameras, a bunch of reporters. And he says to me, are they talking to Kenny? Okay. And I'm like, no, Saquon, that's for you. Right. And so everyone had to kind of clear out for him to, for him to change. But it was like everyone was like surrounding Saquon's locker before he was there, and he thought they were all talking to Kenny when he was there. So he was kind of wondering, like, what's going on? Is that for Gainwell?
Jack, I don't want to scare you. I know you have a job to do. There's someone in the room with you. It looks like.
Yeah, I'm aware. I'm aware, but I gotta be a pro, man. Right?
I just want to make sure you keep your head on the swivel. I don't want you getting attacked.
Yeah. No, I hope Reed learns from that as well about being a pro. Yeah.
Okay, I like that. All right, so bottom line, Zach. There's a couple curmudgeons in the chat who are saying we're not being happy enough after the Eagles win their 9th game of the season, but this team does need to be graded on the scale of Super Bowl contention. How does this game make you feel? Is it you're allowed to have a down week, or do you think there are real pressing concerns about this team moving forward?
Yeah, look, it's a fair question. I understand what those people are saying, but I'm telling you, I'm reflecting what the locker room's saying, and I don't think this was a locker room that was especially overjoyed. This was a locker room
which I think is notable because they have been joyous lately,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I think, look, I'm here to tell you, you're not being a curmudgeon. If that's your sentiment like that, I think the locker room actually, I respect the fact that I think they had a good beat on the way to feel after this game. I guess if you want kind of my take on this, the concern would be whether if you say, all right, they had a down day, it's a long season, a quote unquote trap game, letdown day, they still won, they still escaped with the win, then that's fine. Like they're coming off a huge win against Baltimore. More of a concern would be actually what my interpretation of this was that I don't think they looked over the Panthers. I don't think this was a trap game. I don't think I just don't think they played well. Like I think they kind of played to what the Panthers were. And I think that is more of a concern because Bo always says the sign of a good team is like when you blow out bad teams.
Yeah.
And that was a team that they were 13.5-point favorites, close to 13.5-point favorites. I got to say, like, I don't watch anyone's pockets. Okay. But when Xavier Legette caught that or dropped that ball, the first thing I thought is, man, what's that guy with that bet thinking right now?
He's
got the money line on this. Yeah. Like, so, I never look at anyone else's wallet, but I'm like, oh God, that guy must be sweating bullets right now.
The last 4 double-digit spreads in the NFL, Zach, have not covered.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought that more of the concern here is like I think that the way they played today was kind of the way they are right now, and they need to do more. They need to be more explosive through the air. They just need to they don't need to be the 2022 version. They just need to be better. Yeah. And if they're like marginally better through the air, I would feel much better about their chances here. Because look, the defense keeps answering the bell. Like I understand Carolina threatened. Nick said, they were bend but don't break today, the Eagles defense. But 16 points. They held them to 16 points. And every week you look at the scoring defense, and they're doing this. And so I give them a lot of credit because I thought Bryce Young did play well today. I was very impressed, especially in the second half with Bryce Young. The offense needs to do more. They absolutely need to do more. They can't have 3 and out as much as they do. They need to finish in the end zone more than they do. And so I think that you're not a curmudgeon. You recognize, look, when you're 11-2, like you give them credit. You can't. Yep. You can't stumble into 11-2. You can't through this point in the season. Now, if avid listeners of the show can probably find a clip of me saying that last year around the same time, that you can't stumble into, what they were 10-2, 10-3 at that point. And but yeah, they earned this spot. But the other thing that they earned, and I said this pregame, they earned the conversation of being a Super Bowl contender. Sure. And when you're a Super Bowl contender, part of what that conversation is what does it take to win in January, in February? And what it takes to win in January and February is far better than the way they played today.
All right, Zach Berman, we look forward to reading what you have to go ahead.
Real quick. Yeah. So at halftime, by the way, I went down, I spoke to a loyal viewer from Scotland. And I signed a book for him. He's a great guy, Jim. He actually spoke to Bo 15 years ago. And Bo asked him 15 years ago what he would rather see, England win the World Cup or the Eagles win the Super Bowl.
Okay.
I don't know if Bo remembers that conversation. He said the Eagles win the Super Bowl. So he saw that. And I said, yeah, you saw that. And England still hasn't won the World Cup.
Wait, I thought he was Scottish.
And yeah, but he's from England. He lives in Scotland.
He's
but he's
English, but he lives in Scotland.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so that explains no kilt.
Yeah, I did say to him, both thought you being a kilt. And then he said, no, I'm from England. So that was one. But then,
no, I'm from England.
But then on my way there, someone stopped me, really nice guy.
Mate, I'm from England.
And, a group of, family, the Walshes, who listen to our show, avid listeners, awesome. And then I'm walking back, and the 2 young kids said, "Hey, can you mention me on the show?" And I said, "Sure." We're all about building a community here, right? So I want to give a shout out to Jack and Will. Yeah, the Jack and Will Walsh. Jack and Will Walsh.
Jack and Will Walsh.
Jack and Will
patronage.
Yeah. And then I got to say, I had 3 signings this weekend. It was awesome seeing so many. No, it was awesome seeing so many PHLY Eagles listeners come to these signings. Some people had me write some inside jokes for inscriptions on books. I asked everyone what can be better with the show. Some people loved it the way it is. Some people had some feedback. It was awesome. And then the other highlight of my weekend has been every time I look at my phone, I'm getting a notification about someone's Spotify Wrapped, and I'm getting DMs and I'm getting emails. I'm going to read them on Monday's show. Maybe I should give an extension, right? Because it's a lot of work to do tomorrow. No, but I think that's awesome, and I just want to say how grateful I am, and it's really reinforced to me how cool how cool what we do is because of the community that we have here.
Give us an example of an inside joke you wrote on a book.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So out in Phoenixville, and by the way, if you've never been to Phoenixville,
I heard Phoenixville's great these days.
Yeah. Very nice area. Someone actually, that's one of the inside jokes.
Apparently,
I
really
said
good-
to someone, actually,
Really
one
good
of
wings
the,
in
yeah,
place.
yeah, one of the guys who came through, I said to everyone, are you from out here? I said, I'm so impressed with Phoenix. I haven't been here. This is so nice. I was actually doing my signing next to this nice guy, Mike. He wrote a book on the best Philly sandwiches, and or on the history of Philly sandwiches, and I think he was like kind of like scared by the conversation I was having with everyone coming here, right? But I would say Phoenix feels nice. Then one of the listeners said, yeah, great food city. I said, I appreciate that. But there was one guy who he has first name, last name is everyone. Yes, his first name and his last name are both first name. Are both first names. Yes, are both first names. And so he does the Bo Wolf joke, and he's done that around his house. And he's driving his wife nuts with it, right? Which and then his son in school wanted to know if Bo came up with superb owl because his teacher used superb owl. So I think that's awesome. Oh. And then it's always cool when people come to the book signings where, I love when people wear PHLY gear. That's awesome. But there's some like longtime listeners who are wearing Birds with Friends sweatshirts to the book signings. That's really cool to see because you see them, you're like, oh, thank you. It's awesome. But yeah. Then people
see what they have tattooed underneath.
I'll leave that up to you. But then the big sentiment that I hear is like the amount of people who have long commutes and listen, because look, I appreciate all the YouTube viewers and all the comments we get. And I know there's a lot of people who watch it on YouTube, and I get obsessed over the YouTube numbers. Like I'm looking at them all the time. But I have to realize how many people are listening on their commute to work, from work, on audio as well. So when I passed by the Walshes today and they stopped and they said hello, I just wanted to reinforce how cool this weekend's been, seeing people in the wild and getting all those Spotify reps.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to that tomorrow, Zach, and look forward to reading what you write on allphly.com for those of you who are diehards. And if you're not a diehard, you can still sign up. Check in on the chat if there's anything you think we haven't talked about this game yet. We're going to clean up a couple little things at the end. Last question, Zach. How would you feel if one of those people showed up and had a Zach Berman tattoo?
Well, is it my name or is it my likeness?
It's your likeness.
It's your likeness.
Flattered. Chris Long has Ken Flagel on his body. Mm-hmm. So I would look at it like maybe they lost a bet. But I suppose it depends. It depends where in the body it is, right? So you have to factor that in as well. Well, no, because that would vary too. Yeah, maybe someone doesn't like you, and like it's on their ass or somewhere, it's on their backside, right? So yeah, so it depends where it is, right?
Just they're forcing you to sit and pee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You might not sit and pee, but you're damn well gonna watch while I do.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. All right, guys, that's it. I read if you're watching. Don't use that word in chat.
I'm glad we finally got there. Okay, thank you, Zach. Good luck writing. We'll talk to you later. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
See you, Zach.
Okay, a couple things to clean up from this game. A good question. I missed who it was from, but the face mask on Calcaterra going down.
Yeah.
Do you think those should be reviewable?
I mean,
I don't want
you can't
need more adjudication on that stuff.
Just make the call. It was pretty obvious.
Just get the call right. Yeah.
I don't know if it's reviewable as much as like the idea of there being an official in the booth that can
just watching
buzz
that
down and look at the replays and can buzz down with stuff.
Yeah, that's not bad. And they've gotten better about that this year with some of those quick ones. Also thought the Eagles got a little bit fortunate on that spot on the AJ Brown completion.
Very fortunate. We were talking about
and that was that last drive, right?
They gave him forward progress even though he turned it around.
Yeah, 3rd and
13,
and they hit some right at the sticks. I thought that probably should have been.
I thought he was past the
short.
stick, but then AJ made a football move to reestablish him.
Yeah, that one was tight.
They got lucky on that one.
We got to give. We haven't talked about him at all, but Zach Bond, another series of impactful plays in this
Pay
game.
that man his money.
11 tackles and the only sack of the game for the Eagles. Nakobe Dean with 12 tackles. And there were several plays where I don't know if it looked this way on film in the first half, but like there was some really good pursuit happening side to side from those two guys.
Yeah, they're against this running tackle that gets Chuba Hubbard out to the perimeter. You would need that if the edges weren't set. You would need Bonner and Nakobe to get out there, and I thought that showed up certainly in the first half.
A couple looked like missed assignments up front for the offensive line on some of those pressures for Juergens. There was the one miscommunication where Juergens lets the guy go and maybe thinks he has help from Becton.
He thinks Becton's there. I'll go back to because with how tight they were on the shot, you couldn't see what was holding Becton on the other side. So that'll be a film room thing tomorrow.
DeJean maybe
worst game as an
probably gave up more catches than he has in any game at least.
Yeah,
I would say.
Fangio was pissed after the touchdown.
I didn't see this.
Yeah, he was like, there was they showed the replay of him in the booth, top angle. This
really?
time,
yeah, not up the
he
nose.
like threw something. He was
really.
He was,
I
like,
didn't
mad.
see that.
Oh, he was mad.
So
that's
my
fun.
guess is based off of it, he was either mad at CJ that CJ wasn't tighter to the route because it was like a rub concept. There was two guys stacked on top of each other. The first receiver ran up, and CJ had to kind of follow his guy underneath. And either he's mad because CJ didn't play that tighter, or if he and Slay were supposed to pass things off, that would be the other thing. My guess is it was probably the former.
Okay. And then I did think, CJ Gardner-Johnson we've talked about it for most of the season, has probably been the weak link of the five guys in the secondary once Cooper DeJean went into the lineup.
Yep.
And hasn't been sort of giving the impactfulness that he was signed to give. But in this game, he did. I mean, we did talk about the thumping tackle on the opening possession and then the interception. Like this was what you were hoping to get from him when you brought him back.
Yeah, he brought a little bit of that edge. You saw him in a couple of the mix-ups there, especially late in the first half. So, look, that is what you're hoping to get from him, and he gets that interception, obviously, as you mentioned. So I think that's what you're hoping to see from him more often than not for the Eagles defense that, in the first half of the season was dying to get those turnovers. Hopefully he can get into the party a little bit.
And then I do have to say, A+ physical comedy from Jalen Carter. Touchdown at the end of the first half. So
really sold it.
On the third down, he gets pushed by the offensive lineman and totally falls over. And then after they give up the touchdown, he's going back and forth with Chuba Hubbard, and he gives Chuba Hubbard a little push, and then Hubbard gives him one, and he does a really good fake, like, whoa, 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 and like stumbles backwards a little bit. I don't know if they show that on the broadcast, but didn't actually fall down that time.
I did not see that.
That was fantastic. So now, not only can he play all those snaps, but he's got a future as an actor.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah.
He's got the physical comedy gene.
Yeah, I love that. All right. Anything else that you want to get off your chest, Jamie, before we pop on out of here?
No, but I think I've given up on the 1 seed. I think.
Oh, okay. The situation is the Eagles at the easiest path would be for them to win out and the Lions to lose 2 more games.
Yeah, the Vikings went to 11-2 today, so you might have to worry about the 2 seed.
Well, they can't be the 2 seed.
Oh yeah, true. Division winners,
yeah.
Right? But it's top heavy at the NFC East. Those are good teams. Like Sam Darnold, to the point about improving the pass. What do you have? 4 passing touchdowns today?
Yes, I think so.
Sam Darnold,
3 to Addison.
Yeah.
I mean, he might have 5
1 to
touchdowns.
Jefferson. Yeah, he might have. Justin Jefferson had at least 1, if not 2. Yeah. It's a bad game. A win's a win. I don't want to get too down.
Let's see how they do next week.
But you got to bounce back with a strong passing attack next week and make us forget about this.
I do think there's something though Zach, I think nailed it in that was not the sentiment in the locker room.
Yeah.
I don't think that we're overblowing it. I don't think our reactions were negative. I think that in the past we've heard that locker room, we've heard that coach go up and say like,
good point.
Hey, it's tough to get these wins. That was a tough team. Like, of course that's what Nick said, but to me, the mindset of that locker room, I think was telling.
Yeah, good point. What are you most looking forward to zeroing in on when you turn on the film?
The pass game and just the misses there, some of the inconsistencies. I went through just over the last 20 minutes of the show, just went through and looked at the percentage of throws, the percentage of dropbacks where Jalen held it for over 4 seconds. That was over 20% of his dropbacks in this game. That's the 4th time that he's done that this year. No other quarterback has done it more than twice.
Interesting.
And he's 22nd in the league on EPA per dropback when he holds it for more than 4 seconds, which includes scrambles.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, he has not been great on those types
It's
of
always
throws
been
this
it's
year.
always been one of the disappointments about the passing game with Jalen Hurts is that for a guy who is able to elude the rush so much, that they don't get more out of those scramble plays.
Yeah.
That they're not often like leading to guys sprung open wide open downfield.
Yeah, I'm like 90% sure that includes scrambles. Yeah, so he's done it 4 times. Bo Nix and Justin Fields have each done it twice, and then a bunch of guys have done it once. So
okay. All right, closing out with the last of the super chats. Roger says, hypothesis. Hurts's hesitancy pulling the trigger is because he's afraid to throw interceptions. Seems like the issue with the quarterback is not making quick decisions.
I buy it.
I don't think that it's a 1-to-1, but I do think that is a real factor.
Yeah.
I think he was raked over the coals internally for his looseness with the football the first 4 or 5 games of the season. So I think that is a factor.
And you know what? Like as he was throwing those picks in the first part of the season, I was sitting here like, yeah, like that's fine. Those are fine. Like those some of those misses,
they're different ones. Like the one in the end zone.
Yep.
That was a hell of a play.
That was a fine one.
Yeah.
Like that's a throw that I want you to try to make.
Yeah, try and make those throws.
It's the lazy ones that actually didn't turn into interceptions.
Right.
Those those sideline throws to Kenny Gainwell.
Correct.
That both could have been easy pick sixes.
McNabb
like
used to get that. It kind of heralded him a lot too. His interception numbers were low because he didn't.
Right. And
he didn't force
throwing
the tough
it low.
throws.
Yeah. Aaron says, "Can we get Vinny back? Where's the joy? One bad win."
Well, we need a big Noah Curry win down in Florida.
Yeah, I mean, we'll trade a disappointing win here.
How about next week?
Noah Curry bringing home the W.
You want to make that trade?
You just want to go.
If you're willing to make that trade. All right, you officially. How about? If we can get the chat to approve it, we'll trade you for Vinny next week.
Yeah,
and then
sure.
In 2 weeks, we'll get everybody back.
Yeah,
together.
sounds like a good plan. Self scouting begins today.
And then Markel says everybody did the Deshaun the Dijon selling today. By the way, we have we have a Dijon shirt on the PHLY store. So if you want to just be bumping this all around town, might as well have the shirt to go with it.
You see, Cooper went viral yesterday because he was waiting out in the street for his Angelos, just like everybody else.
No, I didn't see that.
No, I missed that.
Really?
Yeah, he was taking pictures with Birds fans, and as he was waiting
funny.
for his Angelos cheesesteak or pizza or whatever.
I mean,
Cooper, we can get you in touch with Danny. Come on, we know people. We can get
but
you
also
the VIP.
like a Saturday.
It might have
Cooper.
been
I
Friday.
know that that's his day off, but
he's a
gotta
young
do what you
man.
gotta do.
Yeah,
JV move for him.
I perform my best with Cooper Sharp.
Plus the day before a game.
Shaved
That's when he's having
ribeye
a
in my
cheesesteak.
belly.
Maybe that explains it. He had a punt return today too.
Here's the final result.
The final check from Julia on was punting the ball the right call by Sirianni. 72% of you are morons. But we appreciate you watching and listening nevertheless. That'll do it for the PHLY Eagles postgame show. Thank you to Zach for checking in. Thank you to Jamie and Fran and Julia and Chris behind the scenes. Most of all, thank you to the sickos of you in the chat. If you're watching after the fact, let us know in the comments on YouTube how much you hate that Aaron guy. And then we'll be back all week, 2 o'clock. Me and Zach tomorrow. Fran joining us on Tuesday for the film review. Jamie and Rich on Wednesday. Are you here on Wednesday with Jamie?
I am not. Rich will be in, but I will not be.
Got it. Okay.
But Handsome Rich will be holding it down.
The classic Thursday, Friday shows from there with Fran and Deniz. And then Vinny back in the seat next week.
Swooper.
We'll get to Swooper. I think it was probably good for you, right?
We'll see.
Okay, we'll see.
It's going to be tight.
It's going to be tight. All right.
Is Zach out of it at this point?
Big picture wise?
I mean,
yeah,
he's coached.
Two-man race.
Okay.
All right. That'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles postgame show. The Eagles win 22-16, move to 11-2, and everybody's furious, just as we like it in Philadelphia. We'll talk to you tomorrow. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.